Holy crap, everyone. I made it to 5,000 subscribers! Time to celebrate yet again! Well, it might not seem much given most channels on here. It is a big deal for me because I don't see myself as being funny or the most knowledgeable about anything. I'm just someone with opinions who learns as he goes, so I'm really happy you're able to put up with my crap. Here's hoping we get to even higher numbers in the future, but for now, what is it that I'm reviewing? Well, I left that up to you, and while there were a lot of singles, two that ended up getting 3 votes were Sheep and Wolves and Tom and Jerry Back to Oz. Rather than go through another tiebreaker poll, I'd say, screw it, we'll do both, starting with the more original looking film.
Life can be easy if you and me stay true to who we are. No compromising.
Sheep and Wolves comes to us from Russia's own Wizard Animation, who are known primarily for their Snow Queen films, none of which I've seen, though it may look like the first one is good? I don't know, not like it matters, since instead of directors Vladimir Barbe or Maxim Shweznikov of the first Snow Queen movie, we have Andrei Galit and Maxim Volkov. Not much else to say, other than it features a bunch of actors I may or may not recognize outside of Jim Cummings. Though apparently the star of our movie is Tom Felton, who played Draco Malfoy in all of the Harry Potter films. Truth be told, I almost considered doing this earlier when I saw it in store shelves, but decided on Son of Bigfoot instead. Could this film also be a surprise for me in that it's deceptively good? Only one way to find out! So we open in what I assume is Germany, as this was mostly inspired by the Wolf and the Seven Goats, where this photo-taking sheep is trying to act brave for tracking his enemy, the wolves. He runs into one wolf, our Tom Felton of the movie, Gray, before stumbling off into what is the wolf's encampment.
Those jackals nearly got away with our supplies last night. And when I find out who was asleep at their post...
Holy crap, it's Jim Cummings! He plays Magra, who I assume is the leader of this pack of anthro-wolves? Seriously, they all walk upright and hardly are on all fours. It's not just them either, as even the sheep and goats of this movie are like this. But something they both share is that all the women, regardless of species, have head hair. Some of the men will too, but already this world perplexes me. I would assume it's going for the Noah's Ark route in terms of having close to humanoid designs, but they give the sheep a whole village to live in. So what kind of animal world is this? Well, from what I can understand, the sheep of this movie are like elves or hobbits, and have a natural lifestyle that's more cultural, while the wolves are warlike nomads who don't really stay in one place often. Except for now, when Magra decides to tell everyone that they'll be living here from now on, but is also retiring, which means the strongest wolf must prove their worth if they want to lead. Naturally, our obvious villain wolf, Regir, takes up that offer, and the only one to present himself is Gray.
Let's raise the stakes. I say the fight should be to the death.
What do you mean, to the death? How about we have a dance-off instead?
Gray confuses me. Earlier he seemed like a laid-back fellow who was interested in music, then a moment ago he was like...
Sheep! A whole village of sheep! Just ripe for the picking.
And now he's interested in running the wolf pack, despite Regir saying it would be a battle to the death? Well, he's got 3 days till the fight, but until then, back to the sheep. The one we saw before is named Zico, voiced by Ross McGuand, who was recently Red Skull in the latest Avengers movie. And he's trying to get everyone together to warn them about the wolves, but first we need to establish a few more notable sheep. Like Maz here, eyeing Lyra, the China McClane gal of this village.
I have unearthed a most horrible and deadly threat. Behold! So we've been attacked
My orange scarecrow face.
We are easily scared and amused. They do listen once they see the picture of Gray and have the front gate locked up.
There. Now we're all safe and sound.
These are some seriously dead-ass sheep we're looking at. And now the most blatantly obvious anthro of all.
Depends if my date can manage to show up on time.
Well, who's the lucky guy? He must be one handsome devil.
Stop goofing off.
Yeah, Bianca probably has the most humanoid figure of anyone here, and likely the biggest offender of sexual dimorphism in the movie. And something to note is that she went through the most redesigns of any character, all to make her what would be described as a beautiful person. So they literally had to go out of their way to make her like this. And normally I wouldn't be bothered by this, but for all we know, these animals aren't meant to be like humans or a fantasy humanoid race. So it's a bit odd considering this is a family movie. Just as long as this doesn't happen.
Oh, stop. That tickles.
Then we're good. Gray sees Regir violating their hunting ban and goes after him while— Ah! She's multiplying!
I think Gray is going to pop the question tonight.
Someone on that team must really like anthro wolf women. Meanwhile, Ash Ketchum and Nurse Joy are out in the North Meadow when they're not supposed to.
I don't think this was such a great idea. Don't be such a scaredy cat. What do you think could happen? It's happening.
Hurry up, you knuckleheads!
Luckily, Gray is here to stop them.
Oh, I've dropped everything to warn you.
What?
The tree.
What tree?
All right, quit stalling. Just get on with it. Gobble me up.
Gobble you up? No offense, kid, but you're not even big enough for a snack.
Excellent. Now we can— Oh, now what? Someone really likes anthro wolf women. Okay, so let's get this straightened out because it's about to lead into something. But Gray is obviously very immature. Sure, he's got talent and heart, since he wouldn't even hurt a child, but he doesn't ever take things seriously. And because he acts like a clown more than a desirable leader, Bianca doesn't even support him after Regir makes everyone vote for the kind of leader they prefer.
I can't believe you didn't vote for me.
You're not ready to lead this pack, Gray. I don't think you'll ever be ready. And you're certainly not ready for marriage. How can you even talk about a wedding when all you think about are those childish pranks?
Wedding? Who's getting married?
For the past month, all you've talked about was,
Ooh, I've got a surprise. Such a surprise. You'll go nuts.
I'm tired of waiting, Gray.
Waiting for what?
A miracle, Gray, that you'll finally change.
But I love you.
Take care of yourself, Gray. I'm through with you.
Hey, Bianca, wait.
Well, you know what there ain't too much sadder than?
The tears of a clown when there's no one around.
Luckily, he finds another party nearby, but this one's more of a magic show, featuring what might be another Cummings character. I mean, he does voice a few others outside of Magra, but the one Gray ends up meeting is Mommy, who is very skittish.
Take this. It'll bring you luck.
I don't need a horseshoe. I need a...
Wait. Stop. Say no more. You need...
Rabbits don't have paw pads! Maybe. Depends on how you look at it. So Gray wants something that could change him so Bianca will love him again. So Mommy gives him a transmutation potion without properly reading the label for any possible side effects. I see this going well.
Tastes great.
all sales final.
Have I changed? Am I lovable now?
I don't know about that, but I think you might have grown something between your legs. No, he's growing head horns, but it's much worse.
What's my grip? What's happening? Why can't I...
Bah! Ram is you! And no one is willing to listen to what he may have to say, and is forced to run away. So he becomes a sheep, yet loses his fighting capabilities? Well, through shenanigans, he ends up getting away but is knocked out. The village sheep take him to Lyra's place to heal, where, of course, he has a hard time accepting the fact that he was transformed. Of course, he's smart enough to not blurt out the fact he's actually a wolf in case something happens, but Zico is being suspicious.
I've never seen you before in my life.
Oh, is that a fact? Curious.
Tell us, stranger, where did you come from?
Me? I'm from over, there.
From the east. So he's from the eastern herd.
But there's no one left from the eastern herd.
Yes, it's just me. All my relatives were eaten by, piranhas.
In this part of the world?
Yes, well, they were, traveling piranhas. Little suitcases and everything. Oh, it was terrible.
Suitcase carrying piranha. There's gonna be actual piranha like that later, isn't there? Well, after they leave, he proceeds to try and kill this fly that he earlier breathed in during his depression. I don't see the need for these shenanigans now. Maybe they're trying to uphold to the humor of Asterix and Obelix? Since they're usually known for similar slapstick, and that was one of the inspirations for this movie. Particularly, the wolves and the sheep are meant to be the Romans and Gaul of this movie. Still, this is just him reacting to a fly. I didn't think it was that funny, just forced out of nowhere. And then it's followed up by annoyance.
For months, I could never sit down anywhere because everyone thought I was a bush. Oh, this other time, I fell asleep in the forest, and when I woke up, the back of my knees were stained purple from all the...
Quiet. I need to think with my sheep brain.
Quiet? Me? Oh, I'm an expert at being quiet, yes sirree. Why, one time, I was quiet for 6 hours. Oh, well, I did wake up screaming, but that was due to my night terror.
Shut up, Maz! And then to what I thought was a strange instrumental remix of Eye of the Tiger. He's trying to change back by falling since he believes landing on his head was what caused it. Ever stop and think it was that potion you drank? Oh, it's only after the last fall does he get reminded about meeting that rabbit with the potion and goes to find her. But they left, like she said she would. Meanwhile, Bianca is starting to show worry for Gray despite their fight earlier, while other characters try to carry some kind of sadness for the scene. Ike's upset because he ate all his food. That's the joke! Seems Gray and Shia are getting along well, even though he's only interacted with him in this form so very little. But anyway, they go check out some tournament.
The Horn and Hoof Tournament!
Where is this even located? They bring in their undefeated champion, who's voiced by J.V. Blanc, by the way, who Gray makes fun of because he's small, which means he gets to fight him now because he's an idiot.
Hi!
That's what happens when you go up against Barbados, the killer of heroes. Also, you gotta fight like a ram because he's still fighting like a wolf. Yes, it's meant to teach him how to be a respectable leader and fighter. They try to add this with Jim Cummings' bird, Cliff, who believes he's a sheep despite the obvious fact he's a bird. Still, Gray tries to confront his former friends who were going after Lyra and Shia, who were out in the Northern Metal despite it being banned. And while he manages to get his name out, neither of them listen. This movie is starting to stall at this point. Luckily, he finds Mame's caravan again, and while he doesn't see her, he thinks using her potions will reverse this. Well, too bad he guzzles all of them nearly at once, so surely none of them will work anyway. Dude, one of your past lives was a wizard at Hogwarts. Come up with your own potion and fix it.
Looks like a ram and bleats like a ram. It is probably ram.
But I'm a wolf.
What were those cuts just now? Oh, they were for that. Apparently, this party is to celebrate Gray becoming one of them now, even though earlier he did a bad thing, but since he beat up a couple wolves, he's been made the Wolf Tamer. But yeah, it keeps seeming like the plot is coming to a standstill every so often. Instead, they try to push this love relationship between Maz and Lyra, the latter whom is looking like she's coming onto Gray, but Gray may or may not seem to be falling for her, but knows Maz likes her. It's just, I don't really care. I'm not attached to them enough to want to see them go through anything when it just comes out awkward and forced. Another example of this is when Shia and Zavi sneak into wolf territory to try out the move Gray used, and of course because Gray said they could try it, and we hear Rhaegar talk with McGraw.
Face it, Gray ran away. He was scared and fled from responsibility. That means I'm to be the head of the pack without a duel, right?
No, that's not how it works, Rhaegar. You know full well that anyone can stand in for the contender in his absence. And I'll do it. I'll take Gray's place.
But why? Why would you give a damn for the guy who is immature? What is your connection to him? The only thing McGraw has to even doing this is upholding the pack customs. He doesn't want Rhaegar leading because he's a tyrant. But even then, what was the point of saying you were going to retire if you just want to keep your leadership duties until someone else was more capable of it? Also,
you'll never be leader as long as I'm alive.
Oh, you're right. But only as long as you're alive!
Well, gee, it's almost like he was asking to die. Well, since the kids saw this, that means they can be the ones to tell Gray and the others later about who really killed him. Because otherwise, Rhaegar assumes leadership. Bianca, of course, isn't convinced.
Was it you who pushed him?
Bianca, dear, understandably, you're upset. We all are, but...
What? So I assume you'll be our new leader?
Magra left the pack in good palms. Tomorrow I'll...
You can't be head of the pack without winning a duel!
I am abolishing that rule! Along with all your so-called laws of the ancestors!
And no one tries to stop him when they outnumber him and his cronies. Clearly, this is under the command of the 45th Wolf leadership. So, of course, after learning the kids went out because they wanted to try Gray's super move, Gray gets scolded for not thinking before he spoke, while they learn that Shia is to be eaten in the morning since they caught him and not the other. Whatever, no one's gonna do anything because they're sheep. Gray decides he'll go in alone, though Maz comes along so he can get on Lyra's good side, though Gray ends up doing all the hard work by knocking out the tiny wolf while passing off as his normal self. He gets Shia back, and that's it. They just walk home, Gray lets Maz take all the credit, and everything's fine. So, movie over, right? No, because we still need to reunite Gray with Bianca, who has been about as effective in this movie as Norm's love interest. And now he's being tormented with other things being in love over him. Though fortunately for him, as he mopes over not being able to see her like this at their special spot, she does pounce on him, and doesn't take too much to convince her.
Gypsy Mammy did it. That harebrained rabbit gave me the wrong magic potion. You wanted me to change, and I think I just tried too hard.
Things are awful, Gray. Ragier's the leader of the pack now. He's terrible.
How did Magra let it happen?
Magra, he's gone. What have you done, Gray? To yourself. To all of us.
I meant well, believe me. I'll make things right.
Go away, Gray. Please go away. And stay out of my sight. Forever.
The tears of a clown when there's no one around.
All the pieces are falling into place.
Zico, do you have any other reason to be in this movie but act super suspicious? Was that the only purpose you had? Just to tell everyone later who Gray is? So Ragier uses the fact that Gray, in his ram form, harmed 2 of them when getting Shia back, without mentioning his name of course, and is using this fact as a reason to go down into the valley next time and killing everyone.
We'll kill them! Kill them all! And bring back order to the valley! Just as our great Magra bade us!
Loktar Ogar! Well, Zico convinces everyone about Gray possibly being in league with the wolves. Even though body language from that meeting should have convinced you otherwise, but whatever. This leads into Gray flipping out on him, and everyone else for no reason. As he leaves though, Shia admits to knowing about Gray's true form.
You let me go that time in the meadow. How can you be evil?
I'm sorry, kid. Zico's right. There's no place for me here.
So no home, no friends, no girlfriend. He's truly without any sort of, why is there a giraffe here? Where are we, damn it? If this isn't Germany or Russia, then where the hell are we? Well, Mommy's back, and she tells him that the potion's effect will become irreversible soon unless he can get some magic dew that will fall tomorrow morning.
Finally, I can go back to my own kind.
Oh, you mean the home that no one likes you in? Not even your girlfriend? She also somehow knows that the sheep will be attacked tomorrow. So Gray decides, instead of going for the dew, he's going to protect his new friends. The wolves are ready, of course, though Bianca is missing, for obvious reasons. But Gray is having trouble convincing the sheep because stupid Zico is being stupid. Of course, no one wants to fight anyway, at least until he convinces them what strength and unity is. Then suddenly they're being super resourceful. I find that hard to believe, and yet this movie probably doesn't know what these sheep are supposed to be, technologically speaking. So are they building a giant robot or something? Whatever. Let's see what Bianca is up to.
I take it you're Mammy. So it's your potion that's behind all this mess.
And that's it. No follow-up, just fade out. It'll be explained what she did later, even if it's not much. But for now, time for war!
What are you doing, you idiots? Get back in formation!
Oh, my mistake. It's a giant Gatling gun that shoots candy. And in somewhat slow frame rate. Odd. But even then, it doesn't last long. Really, this sequence is... not quite fully Asterix and Obelisk material. Though maybe I was expecting more like this. Anyway, they trap the wolves, at least the men, inside a cavern, and at first, that's a good thing. Until they realize the cave will just fill up with water and they'll all drown.
We gotta help them! Sheep or wolves! Every life is sacred!
Shia! Listen to Gray! If we let those wolves die, we'll be just as bad as they are! Worse! Because we're supposed to be the good guys! And we are! Right?
Tell that to her!
Fear always works. And I'll dart every predator in Zootopia to keep it that way.
Also, Gray was a good guy even before becoming a ram. I don't see why you needed to bring up the good and evil analogy when this started out because he wasn't acting mature. They save the wolves, and while the others are grateful, Regir is still a dick and takes Shia. Gray confronts him, Shia reveals that Regir killed Magra, and it makes the wolves turn on him. Either way, it's time for the duel between Gray and Regir.
I guess this is it. Looks like I'm turning into a sheep forever.
Well, that was abrupt. Well, Bianca shows up to give him the potion, meaning she got over her disappointment in him off screen when she decided to do this, but it doesn't work at first. At least until he gets knocked into some rocks, then he ascends into Super Wolf God Super Wolf.
I'm the wolf, Ragir! I am the wolf! And as long as I draw breath, you'll never be leader!
Just you wait! You'll regret it!
Well, that's it then. He pops the question to Bianca, she accepts, and they get married. The wolves are now going to be living with the sheep, Maz is presumably with Lyra now, and we end with the typical song and dance number. No! I will not let you rickroll me! Movie's over at this point anyway. Nothing else to really say except, it's bad. Now, it's not as bad as something like Space Chimps or its sequel. It is at least well animated outside of a few choppy bits. The detailing on the hair and wool is at least there, and outside the always enjoyable Jim Cummings, the other performances were fairly decent. It's mainly the story I didn't care much for because it wasn't sure if the lesson is to be loyal, act mature, have strength and unity, or if being a sheep means being a better person. The writing also tends to lead into characters not really getting development when it looks like they would, and I feel like a part or two of the plot is missing giving some characters actions. It also doesn't help that the humor isn't really that good. It's just generic family film humor that sometimes gets forced in and doesn't feel natural. That's mostly what the film is. Generic with some questionable design choices. Unlike something like Alpha and Omega, I'm still not sure why they went with the Noah's Ark approach with these animals when the sheep have a man-made village, with some creatures even being fully clothed. Yet the wolves have the brutish-looking designs, and the women very humanoid. They probably could have given them all clothes, or make the wolves more like the sheep, and not make them seem so damn humanoid since it's just awkward having them act like real wolves. But at least like with Alpha and Omega, you can tell they had fun in their designs given the end credits, but otherwise I can't really say this movie has anything else good about it. It's harmless, but unless the characters were more likable and the humor better, I can't say I'm excited for the sequel. Yeah, despite not making back its budget of 230 million rubles, as worldwide it grossed 217 million, they do have plans for a sequel, which has been in development since 2015. Supposedly it comes out this year, which means it may take a year or two before I see it overseas. Maybe I'll do it maybe it'll do better, we'll see. But so far, Until I see their take on the Snow Queen, I can't say I'm looking forward to this studio's work. Though then again, I'm not looking forward to what Warner Brothers has in store for me next, so stay tuned for part 2 when we take a look at the Tom and Jerry movie featuring a return to Oz.
SpaceMonkeyMafiaStudios.com.
I'll rip you to shreds! Hey! Thanks, Doc! Yeah!
What the hell was that?